Welcome to the Explainer. Now, I want you to imagine for a second that we're sitting in my digital privacy law class right now. And today we're diving into a quickfire study guide on that little device strapped right to your wrist. Yeah, your smartwatch. Chances are you're wearing one right now that's tracking your heart rate, your exact location, and, every single text message you get. It's an absolutely incredible piece of technology, but it begs a super serious legal question. Can law enforcement actually search it? Digital privacy is evolving incredibly fast, and as a law professor dissecting exactly how old laws apply to this brand new tech, well, it's a fascinating discovery process. So let's jump right into what you really need to know. Most of us casually view our smartwatches as just simple fitness devices, right? Like fancy digital pedometers to count our steps or maybe just check the time. But for the purposes of our class today, we need to completely shatter that myth. In the eyes of the law, these devices, they act as comprehensive digital diaries. They log a massive, honestly surprising amount of personal information about your daily habits and your private communications. So the question of whether police can search it, that isn't just some technical glitch. It's a fundamental test of your digital privacy rights. I want you to think of your watch as a localized backup of your entire digital footprint. As our study guide outlines here, we aren't just talking about your private text messages or your call records. We're talking about highly sensitive health information like your daily heart rate spikes and your sleep patterns. It literally holds granular GPS data. That means everywhere you've been is mapped out minute by minute. It stores your passwords and every single app notification that buzzes your phone. When you realize the sheer volume of sensitive information sitting localized right there on your arm, the stakes of our discussion today become, well, incredibly high. All of this massive data consolidation creates a profound legal gray area. To really illustrate this, let's look at a hypothetical case for our study guide. Imagine a scenario where, let's call him student A, gets pulled over for a routine speeding ticket, okay? During the stop, the officer notices the student's watch buzzing repeatedly with messages and casually asks to scroll through it just to see who's texting. Do our traditional legal textbooks apply to this modern wearable tech? It's a classic conflict, really, where modern innovation crashes right into established legal boundaries. So what's the answer? Well, it heavily depends on context, because the rules are definitely not always black and white. As a law professor, I constantly instruct my students to clearly distinguish between a casual police inquiry and a formal search warrant. In our hypothetical case with student A, an officer can absolutely casually ask to look at your watch. However, unless they have a legally binding signed search warrant that specifically names that exact device, or, unless a very specific emergency exception applies, you do not automatically have to grant them access. A casual request is an entirely different beast from a court-ordered mandate. But here's the thing. Even when you completely understand those complex rules, there is still a major vulnerability. And what's really fascinating when we review these cases in class is that the biggest trap isn't a lack of encryption, it's not a glitch in the watch's software. The biggest vulnerability is entirely human. In almost all the case studies we look at, the absolute biggest mistake a person makes is panicking, just reacting emotionally during a stressful situation. When you're approached by law enforcement and questioned about your devices, the sheer stress of the moment can be completely overwhelming. Fear kicks in, and people often say or do things that accidentally waive their digital privacy rights without even realizing they did it. The tech on your wrist might be highly advanced, but honestly, it's human panic that usually compromises the data first. So, how do we counter that natural human instinct? Think of this as your practical exam advice. If you're ever asked about your devices, you really must rely on two foundational behavioral techniques. Step 1, remain calm. Just take a breath. Keep that heart rate, which remember the watch is tracking, nice and steady. Step 2, be respectful. You never, ever need to be combative to protect your rights. Being calm and respectful actually puts you in the strongest possible legal position to assert your boundaries without escalating the whole situation. Listen, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this study guide, I want you to remember this exact legal phrase. It is your golden shield if you are ever asked to hand over or unlock your device. The phrase is, I do not consent to a search. I'm going to say it again, a little slower, because it is just that vital for your legal protection. I do not consent to a search. You don't need to deliver some complicated legal monologue, and you absolutely should not argue. Delivering this one phrase, slowly and deliberately, is the absolute clearest way to assert your legal rights. Protect your information, proactive steps to secure your personal data. Let's get right into it. Consider this your required homework for the class. It's an immediate action checklist to lock down that GPS and health data long before you ever face an inquiry. Number 1, set a strict passcode. Just like your phone, your smartwatch should require a PIN to unlock the second it leaves your wrist. Number 2, audit your privacy settings. Go into the companion app on your phone and limit what notifications actually pop up right there on the watch screen. And number 3, enable your device security features, particularly things like activation locks and data encryption. Seriously, taking just 5 minutes to set up these barriers makes a massive, massive difference. All right, let's end with a quick pop quiz for the class just to test your understanding. Take a look at your wrist right now. If an officer casually asks to scroll through your smartwatch and they don't have a legally binding warrant, what is your precise response? Hopefully you answered, I do not consent to a search. With your entire life essentially strapped to your arm, are you doing enough to protect your digital rights before that moment even happens? Applying these basic steps will keep your sensitive information secure. Class dismissed. Thanks so much for joining this explainer. Stay curious and keep your data safe.